What is your strategy for addressing the environmental challenges that Oregon faces? What causes would you champion? And how will economic concerns affect your choices?
We have to have a regional response to climate change that prioritizes the health and well-being of our environment and our planet, along with the businesses and the economy throughout the district. One of the things that I prioritize when I talk about the environment and economics is to make sure that we are creating and preserving healthy fisheries for the folks that live along the coast, to limit clear cutting and to protect our old growth forests so that we are creating a reciprocal relationship with the forest that protects our watersheds, the wildlife that lives there, while we're also working along with the logging industry to make sure that we are preserving our forests for future use, and while also supporting the industry. And lastly, I think I'm really supportive of the Rural New Deal, where we go into rural communities and talk to them about how we can improve their economic recovery while we are still protecting and stewarding forests, rivers, and public lands, um, helping to expedite disaster recovery, and also working on making sure that we are putting the planet and the environment first.
The Trump administration has attacked our environmental protections, from every angle. And so, as ranking member on the Natural Resources, Water, Wildlife, and Fisheries Subcommittee, I am at the forefront of working with my Democratic colleagues to protect our federal lands, make sure that they're kept public, to work on strategies for tribal co-management, to work with our tribal nations to ensure that we are managing our public and natural resources in the best way possible for the next generations in the face of climate change, fighting back against the Trump administration, trying to cut all the green energy projects and investments we made in the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act, the greatest investment in green energy in the history of this country. And finally, we do need to balance economic development, because poverty is bad for the environment, right? And when the timber industry crashed, when our manufacturing crashed, we promised people a just transition to a green economy where they could have a path to the middle class. And all they've done is just transitioned into being able to find minimum wage jobs. So we should never, never allow our environmental protections to be swept away. And we have to balance, and this is what I do every day, keeping clean air, clean water, and high labor standards for any project that we have. We think about the impact on our environment while also understanding that economic development will always have some impact. So working with the state to make sure that we have those parameters in place so we can all do better.
Oregonians care deeply about our environment, and so do I. Protecting our natural resources and strengthening our economy should go hand in hand. One of the biggest environmental challenges we face is catastrophic wildfire. We literally experience a smoke season in the Northwest every year. And that is one of the reasons I support and I will champion active forest management, responsible thinning, and better coordination with local communities to reduce fuel loads and protect our forests. I champion responsible stewardship of our public lands, clean water protections, and policies that support working forests, farms, and fisheries. Oregon's environment is not separate from our economy. These two important parts of our lives are intertwined. Our timber industry, agriculture, outdoor recreation, and coastal industries depend on healthy land and water. My approach is a common sense and practical approach with a reasonable balance of long-term and short-term planning. We should follow science, work with local communities and stakeholders, and support policies that both protect our environment and sustain good paying jobs.
In CD4, wildfires, forest health, and economic stability are interconnected for rural communities, and that's across Lane, Douglas, Coos, and Curry counties. My approach relies on science-based forest management, aggressive thinning, controlled burns, and sustainable logging to reduce megafire risk that affect homes and infrastructure every summer. I support increased federal funding for wildfire prevention, river restoration for fisheries, and forestry practices that sustain jobs in timber-dependent areas. Policies that restrict logging or impose high energy costs are a harm to local economies without proportional environmental gains. Invasive feral swine continue to damage farmlands, forests, and river systems in South and coastal Oregon, rooting up soil, destroying crops, harming salmon habitat, spreading disease, and causing erosion. State efforts have failed. A controlled commercialization program offers a practical alternative: sustainable harvesting and marketing of wild boar meat as a subsidy for factory farm pork. This creates revenue for hunters, processors, and rural economies while addressing the invasive issue. Nationally, feral swine cause an estimated $1.5 to $2.5 billion in annual agricultural and related damages, including crop losses, livestock impacts, and controlled expenses. So these costs also affect Oregon farmers through ruined fields, habitat degradation, and maintenance. Commercialization reduces these burdens by incentivizing removal, and I will advocate for interstate cooperation with states like Arkansas and Texas, where similar programs convert invasive animals into marketable food resources. So this builds a more cost-effective domestic protein supply, and it also reduces reliance on concentrated animal operations that contribute to groundwater contamination from waste hormones and antibiotics.